Hey guys, it's Dave. I wanted to check in with you today as a new member in our group asked me a clarifying question about last night's call, and we want to welcome Anita and Ashley and Sarah as new members to the group. So, when we have a philosophy and a core value here at the podcast of inclusivity, remember that that is how our mission and our ethos begins. We are an inclusive community that believes, and then the rest of the mission. And what we are open to here as a community is open to influence and open to other people's ideas about what's their truth, what is true for them. And last night, when we were finishing up the call, I might have mentioned that the masculine energy will be leading 100% of the time. And that was the question that was brought up for clarification. What does that actually mean, Dave? And what it brings up in me is that we're talking about now how influencing each other in a partnership is a very positive thing once we begin to create the container of what our relationship dynamic is going to be like. In the very beginning of a relationship, I like to approach a new partner with something that's called a relationship agreement. What are some agreements that we can put in place early on in our relationship that makes it feel like we have an equanimity in our relationship, which means a passing back and forth of ideas and influence that we can take from one another. And this is very important in a relationship to feel seen and heard. And that's what our community is all about. So I wanted to give a quick analogy and maybe a real life scenario of where influence, leadership, and the masculine and feminine energy can play together to inspire a lot of connection and emotional safety for one another. Let's visualize that we have a feminine pole and a masculine pole, and they're in a very large boat, like a cruiser ship or a passenger ship on the ocean. And the feminine energy is a lot like that scene in Titanic, where the feminine is standing at the bow of the ship, and that feminine person in the relationship is looking out over the entire ocean, and that person, the feminine energy, may say, oh, I want to go over to that island over there, or I want to go over to that horizon over there. And it's almost like that feminine wants to experience all the things all at once. And it's much like the flowing of a river or the flowing of the ocean as it crashes on the beach. It's ever moving, it's ever changing, it's always present, and it's always there without causing, I don't want to say too much destruction, but that's kind of like what the waves are doing. So that's how the feminine flows towards the masculine in this particular analogy. So the feminine is standing in the bow of the ship. Hey, I want to go over to that island over there. Hey, I want to go over to that horizon over there. Let's go there. And the masculine is in the stern of the boat at the steering wheel of the ship. And the stern of the boat is generally higher than the bow, than that very front part of the boat. So the stern, the person in the stern, the masculine energy, can see more, has a bigger vision of what's available on the horizon, where that island is at, where that horizon is that the feminine pointed at earlier in the analogy. And the feminine is like, let's go over there, let's go over there. And this is a little bit of that clouds, not so much a storm, because it's not always causing wind, rain, lightning, etc. But it's more like clouds swirling around the groundedness of the mountain. And the masculine energy in the stern of the ship sees everything, and it's got a vision. Okay, I totally hear what you're saying. I see that island over there. I see that horizon over there. I know exactly why you want to get there, and you want to get there quick. Here's what else we're going to do. We're going to go to this island first, stock up on provisions, stock up on supplies, and then we're going to go to that island over there. So the masculine is accepting influence in the relationship and partnership from the feminine energy on the direction that that feminine wants to go. But the masculine is creating structure and creating safety. Okay, we can head in that direction, but what we're going to do first is we're going to get those provisions. And I hope that this analogy kind of clears up our initiation into the conversation about leadership and how movement away from the healthy masculine, where men are afraid to be masculine, they fear the consequences of masculinity at this time. But what they fear is that their leadership is going to be viewed from that lens of everything is unhealthy. And that's not necessarily the case. In the case of the masculine communities that I'm a part of, Connor Beaton and Man Talks, Trevor Boehm and the Uncivilized Nation, these are two leaders in my life that show me the way to live a healthy masculine. And the healthy masculine, yes, we also have the feminine energy within us, but we always know what leadership is for us in a healthy way. It's not about power, and it's not about pushing our will onto somebody else. It's about equanimity. It's about receiving the influence from our partner and being the guide and being the leader. But also, leadership is knowing when to not assert yourself in a relationship because it's not the best idea for the two of you. Another way that the healthy masculine shows up in leadership is decisiveness. It's something that the feminine craves. And decisiveness is not always the right answer, but the decisiveness is very secure and very structured for the feminine. And I know that we're going a little bit deeper than I thought I would, but I would like to go down this thread just a little bit longer. Decisiveness. When it comes to the first few dates, the masculine energy will pick the location. But in a healthy masculine relationship, you'll notice that the masculine, when healthy, will be flexible on that location. Hey, I'd like to go to this Brazilian restaurant I've never been to. It's in your neighborhood. How about I pick you up and we'll go there at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night? That's a healthy version of the masculine. Well, the feminine comes and they're like, hey, that sounds like a great idea, but here's what I have in mind instead. And that's the opportunity for the healthy masculine to take influence within the partnership, making it feel equanimity, making it feel like each person is being heard from their energetic pole. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, whether that be on the weekly group call or continue the conversation here in the chat box if anything came up for you. I'll post this in a couple of different places just in case you miss it in the group chat, but these are the topics that I want you guys to bring to our coaching program because we are an inclusive community, willing to take influence from each and every member whose ideas are completely valid, whose experiences, opinions, and identities are 100% welcome in our community. So thanks again for inspiring this conversation to go even deeper and further. Let's talk about this the next time we connect or in between via the group chat.